た悪い夢。ご両親、
空襲でやられたようです。
兄さんも私と同じね。
親子ともども縁あってこうして生きとったんだから。
だから私はどんなことがあっても死んではいけない。
銀座を襲ったあいつ、
元島だ。ゴジラですよね。あんなもん倒せっこありません。
東京がまた火の海になるのは見たくない。
戦争が終わってないんです。今度の戦いは未来を生きるための戦いなんです。
ゴジラマイナスワン。
皆さん、こんばんは。こちらは周期表の素晴らしい、または The PeriodicTable of Awesome。私はジルと申します。こちらはクニさんです。そしてこちらはディオンさんです。そしてこちらはピタさんです。よろしくお願いします。このショーのトピックはゴジラマイナスワンです。楽しみにしてください。じゃあ、それでは始めましょうか。
すみません、私はバカです。
なるほど。
そうね。
そうですね。
どうぞ、よろしく。Thank you, Jiro-san, or Jiro-kun. Oh, yeah, I know. Well, it's great. I mean, you just have to unmute your mic, Winnie. As you, yeah, you can have the
fuck. I unmuted everybody but me. Wakarimasen is all they said. A big
you know what,
pile of Wakarimasen.
That was beautiful. Thank you very much.
Jill, a round of applause for Jill.
Yes. We're multilingual here, apparently.
Yeah, like, can you tell I've been learning Japanese for years?
A little bit.
Yes.
Can you translate for us, please, Jill?
Oh, yes, I welcomed everybody to the show. It was fun to learn what periodic table was in Japanese, which is shukihyo. So we are the shukihyo no subarashi. So the periodic table of awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah, and then I introduced all of you guys, and I said the show's theme tonight is Godzilla minus one.
And the best thing I love about it is, Peter, every time you smile broadly, your background goes through and your mouth turns into a...
Oh, no.
amazing. StreamYard for the win.
I know, right? We love our StreamYard.
Maybe if I use a bit more light, that might... There we go. No.
Yeah.
Are you saying that technology has brought around unintended consequences and we need to reevaluate our relationship with it?
I mean, I'm gonna work with the technology actually. While I think I can fix this. I feel like I can use knowledge.
You're going to use science and thinking to solve a problem.
Turn the background off. That's disconcerting.
It is, but you know what?
It's a metaphor.
Yeah, it's a metaphor for a giant monster.
Sick grill, Peter.
Grill.
You know who also has a sick grill? Gojira.
Gojira.
This is super exciting.
Yep.
So first of all, I want to shout out to Sugoi.co, who a new brand on the Australian kind of market, as it were, who a couple of people who we've known for a long time, people who are involved with Mad Men and so forth, who invite us to this screening, and we got to see this in an IMAX.
Yeah.
Holy shit. If ever there was a monster that was designed for IMAX, it's this guy.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
Really?
the film was not designed for IMAX.
No.
So it was not as good as it could have been, but it was still pretty fantastic.
the OG, the larger than life, the big on the screen. I did have a little bit of a squee when I saw the Toho logo come up on the IMAX, and I was kind of like, yeah, this is already a great film.
It's such a good time. And every time you see the Toho logo at the start of a film, you're like, oh yeah, we're in good territory here. This is the safe place. And I loved it. So funnily enough, this follows on from last week's Monarch Legacy of Monsters. So it's been Godzilla all the time around here.
Yeah, I ain't mad about that.
No.
What are you complaining about?
Sorry, Dion?
I said, what are you complaining about? That's fine.
Nothing. I am complaining about
Kaiju.
But what it does do, it means that I've got no fucking preamble because we talked about Godzilla last week. Like, what was your first Godzilla? We covered it last week. What was your favorite Godzilla film? Covered it last week. However, Peter wasn't here.
Uh-oh. This is going to be a real quick conversation, guys. And I still have blue teeth.
Yeah,
You do.
I love it. Great.
This is what happens with international travel. You just get blue teeth and
What
I'll
have you
take
been
a vote.
doing?
You just pretend you're ready for a boxing match or something. It's your mouth.
yeah.
I have seen a total of one other Godzilla film
Oh wow.
in my life.
Was it the 1998 one?
It was the 90s. It was the 90s. I went and saw a film that did feature Godzilla and a bunch of Americans on a very awkward double date. I remember more about the awkwardness of the double date than I do about the movie. And I decided, big monsters. Sure.
So weren't overly sold on the old big monster problem?
I mean, it didn't make me kind of want to run out and actually experience more Godzilla, weirdly.
This one or the mid-90s Matthew
the
Broderick?
mid-90s version.
Yeah, right.
Well,
To be fair, I mean, not everything comes with a Jamiroquai soundtrack, and we covered a lot of this.
You have no clue how close I am to just finding some Jamiroquai and playing it in the background. But then I've realized that that's really hard to do on this system, so I'm not going to do it. Just imagine it. Imagine some Jamiroquai.
If you go deeper underground, you can find it, Quinny.
No, the 98 one did not have Will Smith.
Why would the
Independence Day mix-up thing?
Yeah.
Is that like one of those Mandela effects?
Yes, very much so. That's where Will Smith gets out of a thing, punches Godzilla, and says, "Welcome to Earth."
I would believe that. 100%.
Berenstain Bears turned up and they fought Godzilla.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. That was the same year that Nelson Mandela died in prison, wasn't it? That's where it gets its name from.
Yeah.
Stop cross-pollinating everything.
I'm sorry. I won't do it again.
Yeah.
Right. So, sorry.
You go. You were about to launch.
I was going to say. So now we are talking about the actual Godzilla -1, which is the newest of the new. In the I think there's. What did we work out last week? 33
something.
30. I think 33.
Oh, 33.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were around that 30-ish mark.
Yeah.
Of these films, which is impressive. And Peter, I do need to know the Broderick one. Do you have any memories of it at all, or was it just a bad date?
There was a very big monster.
Also, your teeth aren't blue anymore, so that's amazing.
I
can hear what you're
technologied my way out of that one.
Yeah.
Hey. Oh no, they're back.
Oh,
shit. That's so clever.
it's all right. It's Ronda Rousey cosplay.
Oh, okay. And shout out to Karina, who has seen the 1954 original, Matthew Broderick, Shin Godzilla, and all of the MonsterVerse Godzillas. So there was somebody who had a little bit of homework to do this week. Jill.
Funny story. So last week I came up with this brilliant thing where what if they were building the Mecha Godzilla in this MonsterVerse one? And then I was immediately told, oh, no, that was an end of credits thing in the Godzilla versus Kong. And I'm like, oh, I haven't seen that one. Well, how come I haven't seen that one? Well, I watched that one on the weekend and quite quickly remembered that I actually had watched it before. It just didn't stick with me. And that's where I got the idea about Mechagodzilla from. Funny thing, because I did watch it right to the end.
Right.
Yeah, completely blacked out the whole middle bit. They started dragging Kong out on a barge to try and coax out Godzilla, and I was like, oh, fuck, I remember this.
Yeah. And another film with wildly varying depths of ocean.
Classic.
That's that last time. Like, these places just have, like, how tall is Godzilla? He's either 30 stories or 5 feet.
Yeah.
What described.
Yeah. We have a little bit of that in the old -1 as well.
Yes,
Well, they
there's
can't.
elements. Yeah, but that's okay. So should we try for a synopsis? Is that a thing?
Sure. Yes.
Okay.
Is it going to be in Japanese?
Shit. No, it's really not, and it's not going to be in a shitty Japanese accent either, because that would be awkward and inappropriate. But we will try and go with some appropriately powerful music.
Okay.
Feeling as if he unfairly cheated death too many times, Shikishima, a surviving kamikaze pilot, is attacked on Odo Island, along with many warplane engineers, by a gargantuan monster. After the engineers die, due to Shikishima failing to distract the monster, an overwhelming amount of guilt weighs on him, especially after a homeless woman and a baby move into his home when he returns. Shikishima, now on a personal mission, teams up with a large group of veterans to finally take down the monster known as Godzilla. I just fucking love this music.
We would definitely bop into this one after the movie.
Yeah.
Very memorable.
I feel like it's about to break out into a chorus now, though.
It does. It's got that kind of vibe, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's a good
enough of
soundtrack.
that.
Yeah.
It is a good soundtrack and good audio throughout. Like, if there's one thing that you don't fuck with Godzilla, it's the sound. You've got to get the sound right. It has to sound like a giant fucking monster.
Yeah.
And I think they did.
Yeah, even though the monster wasn't so giant, kind of ish. But it was.
Call it
I mean,
teen Godzilla. Prepubescent Godzilla.
yeah. But at both times, prepubescent Godzilla and then kind of young adult Godzilla. For reasons that plot explains, which is fine.
Yes, it is called -1 because this happens before any other Godzilla movie that has existed in timeline-wise. So.
Yeah, specifically. Which is very hard to do, isn't it? It's like, how far do we go backwards now?
Well, how much, there has to be a starting point with Godzilla, and that starting point has to be the end of World War II. Like,
yeah,
I think that sort of, because the atomic bomb is the thing that kicks it all off. Now, I suppose conceivably they could, if they wanted to, go back and do,
-2.
Yeah. Yes. Some other mathematical number.
Don't do -2. That's ridiculous.
But yeah, that's one of those things that I feel like that's something that we miss from a lot of the American films, is the fact that what Godzilla actually means, what it's meant to be about, what the stories are actually talking about, which is the cultural fucking impact of a country that has been bombed and has experienced something truly, soul-tearingly terrifying. And
Like some sort of metaphor.
a little bit, yes.
Or
And
an
yeah.
allegory.
I was going to say it's allegory, it's metaphor. I don't know. There's just so much typing happening. I can just hear keyboards going mad with typing.
Yes, I was going to sort of make a joke there, but now you've derailed my sense of thought, Quinny. But that's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was going to make a joke about the metaphor about the destruction and the overall thing, but the question needs to be asked: who is the monster? The nuclear bomb or the giant monster? Which one's the worst monster? And if that's the one, then is it man or is it the monster? No, in this one, it's definitely Godzilla. Godzilla is definitely the one.
Sorry, I've now just got am I man or am I a Muppet in my head? So that's completely derailed for me.
Am I a man or am I a kaiju?
Am I a man? Am I a kaiju?
Kaiju man.
I love that. That's now my song.
There's something I just want to mashed up there that I really like. I want to go and watch a film called Kaiju Manji. What could make Jumanji better? Godzilla.
Yeah. Wait, no, you know what? This new Godzilla times Kong or X-Kong, whatever movie's coming out next year. I want to see Godzilla versus Oppenheimer. Thank you, Karina, in the chat, because honestly, that's what started it all.
Yes.
Godzilla gets to like meet his maker. Like, Father, you created me.
And he whispers to him while they're making love, I am death.
No.
I am the bringer of earth and worlds and stuff like that. And they have an awkward scene where they just sit around naked, both Oppenheimer and Godzilla.
None of this is in Godzilla -1, and it doesn't need to be. And it's never going to be.
Just to clear it up for a Godzilla noob over here, like Godzilla prior to the atomic bomb testing, just the atomic bomb testing made him more Godzilla-y, is what I read from this plot.
Well,
because when he first turns up on that island,
he was already a Godzilla.
He was already a Godzilla.
You don't see those things just walking around Earth.
Well, no, exactly.
And it was the end of the war.
Then the bomb testing happened, and then he was like, Godzilla.
I think he was.
I don't know
because bomb testing had happened in the ocean at the beginning of the, like at the very end of World War II.
Yeah.
I don't think.
No, they just like.
I don't know. Because it kind of.
I mean, once again, it depends on all. Like, this is one of those ones where history is going to be a careful point of it because
wasn't it a few months after the bombs dropped that the war actually ended?
Yeah. So, like,
I think Godzilla probably had a little bit of time to mutate.
Yeah, and whether it's not that it's him mutating or just being woken up, because the idea, I think, is that he's always perhaps been there in some form, like as a prehistoric big monster, but the radiation from the bomb.
Oh, well, if you go with this Hollow Earth theory thing that they're doing in the Monsterverse, then maybe the bomb like cracked open that Hollow Earth portal and that's where he came from.
Possibly. I just always sort of assumed that like it was just that he was sucking in radiation.
Yeah.
And it was that he was a deep sea like creature that had been disturbed by the radiation, and then that affected him, and then sorry, I don't want to gender Godzilla. We putting out there that the bombs affected Godzilla and made it bigger, and also got kind of grumpy. But then they cunningly explain that in the film quite nicely by going, it's always preceded by deep sea fish that come up from very, very low down, like weird sea creatures, always like
dying.
No, not dying, but more like they precede a Godzilla like sighting, because that's kind of where it's coming from. It's like a little thing. I mean, who really knows?
You read that slightly differently than I did, because what I took it was that Godzilla being highly radioactive and fucking not good to be around was just killing off deep sea fish, and they were floating up ahead
It
of him.
couldn't have been radioactive in 1945. They didn't test bombs in the ocean until 1946. So this is where I'm kind of getting. And then they had that scene where it's kind of like, first he turns up, and this isn't like any spoilery. This is like just kind of the foundation of the plot of the movie. But like the first time he turns up is prior to him being exposed to radiation. And then there is a visual sequence that symbolizes Godzilla being exposed to the radiation and getting more Godzilla-y. And so it's kind of like, he was like, there was a thing that was like maybe a bit scary sometimes, but like now, thanks to evil bombs, now look what you've done.
Yeah. Let's go with that one. I like that one.
Yeah, but men, what have you done again? It's always a man's fault.
Yeah.
Too much Oppenheimer. Yeah. This is how you get a nuclear dragon. This is how you get a nuclear dragon.
Yeah. Yeah. And ants.
And ants.
Well, I guess the amount of discussion we've put into this maybe points towards like a couple of the minor flaws of the film.
Only minor.
Just a few but whys in the scientific construct of what was happening.
Oh, 100%. But I don't think any of them are ever very scientifically accurate.
And I don't mind if it's ridiculous as long as it's consistent. It's the lack of consistency that bothers me.
Okay. What were your biggest annoyances?
You know what? I can't, because I think if you're a fan and you want to go see the film, some of the things that I describe, I think should be spoilers just because they're cool moments that you don't want somebody to describe to you before you see the film.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there were definitely some things where like Godzilla does something in like one situation and certain, backlash of physics happen, and then Godzilla does same thing in another situation and like completely different backlash of physics happens.
Right.
Which, kind of like to serve the plot in a different way.
I understood the whole idea of having a montage. That's just his training sequence, and then he gets more control of his powers as he gets older.
But it's not, which points towards a thing that I quite liked about the film, which is it was way more human drama and way less monster than I was expecting.
And this is
somebody who's never seen a real Godzilla film before.
Here's the point I'm going to bring up, because usually I fucking hate that stuff. I just want to see the monster going on a rampage, and that's what I pay my money for. But this I actually quite liked, because our protagonist Shikishima was just so easy to connect with. This guy was really messed up, and the way that he was trying to atone for what he did and what he didn't do was just really powerful.
I mean, you're coming out of the gate very strong when your main protagonist human character is a failed kamikaze pilot. Like, I mean, that's a strong open for any movie. It's like, I didn't do the kamikaze. And so now it's the film, and it's a Godzilla film. And you're like, wow, okay, no, let's make this work. Like,
But to see like what he's faced with when he returns to his home to try and pick up the pieces now that the war's ended, and the shame that he feels because the people around him are like, we could have fucking won the war if you just killed yourself. Like, that's just insane.
And also that he's it's doubly layered on, because as we see at the start of the film, he lands on Odo Island because essentially he's running away and saying, oh, my plane doesn't work properly. So the people there that are there to try and fix his plane, they are the ones who first encounter this proto-Godzilla. And once again, he fails. And, his failure over and over and over again leads to people dying. And so you see this person, and no, there's a part of us with a different mindset that look at it and go, okay, not killing yourself is not a bad thing, especially if you've got a really good reason to do it, where somebody has said, don't kill yourself. But seeing it show up again and again as either fear or inability to act, you start to really sort of feel for this character and realize that it's a lot more nuanced. It's a nuanced character, which is not what I was expecting from a Godzilla film.
No. There's way more depth than the latest American iterations, I feel.
Yeah.
God, yeah.
Because you actually gave a shit about them. I didn't care about anyone.
Exactly.
I mean, it was fun because you went in there going, I want to see Godzilla destroy stuff, and you get a lot of.
Oh,
Godzilla.
he fucking did, yeah.
But then you also get a lot of like, oh, there's also a human drama story that's going on in the background, and everyone has to work out how they're interacting in post-war Japan after they've just suffered a massive defeat, and there's a huge cultural problem. That's where's the Godzilla? When Godzilla turns up, you're like, yeah, and you kind of fight it. There's like, I want to see Godzilla destroy stuff, but also I want to see the humans defend themselves because I kind of feel sorry for them now. So you're kind of torn between, it's like, who am I rooting for here? Is it both?
Oh, wait, are we supposed to root for Godzilla at any point?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's my grumpy little puppy.
Yeah.
I want to see him destroy Tokyo.
Godzilla was just chilling out for a long time, but now some people come around fucking him up, like blowing shit up, shooting at him, setting mines off at his face.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, I feel sorry for
spirit animal. That's what I want to do at the office some days. Just like hyper beam in someone's face, throw stuff off the tables. Yeah.
I also love the fact about Godzilla. Godzilla's got that great thing of just not giving a fuck and walking off.
Yes, yes.
Like,
this is the son of a bitch that walks away from an explosion and doesn't look back.
Yeah, because he caused the explosion.
Yeah.
Actually,
out.
yeah. And that is something I thought was really interesting with this one, is the design. Like, so Godzilla has been, Godzilla man in suit for a very long time. And the design of the character, is more CGI, but still very traditional, like feels like it could still be a man in a suit, maybe. But the design of the explosions, the Godzilla hyper beam, the way that is expressed,
Just
like
loved it. The way his spines all kind of just and it's like boop, 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 like fuck him up.
But also just the explosion itself. And I mean, if there was ever a question as to what the subtext of these films is about, the fact that Godzilla's hyper beam explosions look the way they do really kind of says what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is great. I love the design of it. I love the look, and yeah, I love the destruction.
Yeah. I love the blue, but I am keen to see the Barbie-core version in this new film next year.
Not only do we get to, went through Monarch and then went and saw Godzilla -1. Didn't the trailer get released the other day?
Yesterday.
And I'm very confused about all of this now because I'm like, what is going on? Are we just I was very confused. I don't know. But how? I don't know. We're talking about the Japanese one.
We are.
Yeah.
The superior original type films, which don't have to change the look of Godzilla and also don't have to really change how destructive it all is, by giving a monkey a cool gauntlet.
We need to let Godzilla X Kong go for the moment. Let's talk about Godzilla -1 on its own merits, shall we?
Sure.
Yeah. This is your first true Japanese Godzilla film, right?
Correct. Yes.
Were you surprised by any elements of it?
I think how much I kind of enjoyed the humanness of the story. The reason I never sought out any of these films, having seen the American one, is because I thought it was just going to be like a explosions, yeah, people shoot things and win in the end kind of plot, which doesn't really interest me that much. But this was like a deeply human, very political, historical drama. I liked that. And then like the monster was cool. Like it was just enough monster for me, you know?
Oh, cool.
Well, Peter, if you like human interest dramas all about that, you're going to love all other 33. And and if you like cool monster battles, you're going to hate all previous 33. No, that's unfair. Maybe about 12 of the first ones. You're going to be like, yeah, it's not. That's just a guy in a suit knocking over a bunch of cardboard.
I mean, I'm not sure that I loved it enough to go and watch 13 other
33.
Godzilla. Sorry, 33. I definitely didn't like it that much. I probably won't seek out any more Godzilla films. I'm just saying, this one, I liked it much more than I thought I would.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
I was just like, oh fuck, the guys are making me see the fucking Godzilla film, but then I liked it.
God, you sound like we had a gun to your head. It was just a spare ticket.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, fuck.
You see Oppenheimer for free, make me see Godzilla for free.
Yeah, your life sucks, Pete.
Yeah.
But it was fun also in IMAX, even though it wasn't an IMAX specific print by the looks of it.
I have a bone to pick with IMAX as well, but that's a whole other story.
Okay.
It was fun, and the the effects were fun. I mean, being no stranger to like the idea of Godzilla and having seen clips, even though I haven't seen the film, I did also kind of enjoy that it tracked with what I knew of Godzilla, even as somebody who's very much on the peripheral of it. So I felt like I was very much watching like a real Godzilla film and not an American knockoff.
Cool.
Which I'm not actually. I think when I came into this film with you guys, I thought it was an American like film as well.
Oh, right.
I thought we were going to see like GIs and explosions, which is why I was a little bit like, oh, okay.
And I think it does a really good job of subverting a lot of those expectations as well, because like if you are looking at the American Godzilla films, like, you know, and Kong Skull Island and that whole monsterverse, it is pretty gung-ho. It is pretty militaristic, and, you know, like even Monarch is pretty it's got a military vibe, whereas this, it has a military vibe, but at the same time, these people are getting around on a shit kicker old boat, and, you know, they're trying to trawl for mines because, you know, it's the only job that pays. It's not like it's
in a way an anti-military vibe.
Very much so.
I feel like the problem between the American versions and the Japanese versions is that the Americans are all about what makes our protagonist special. Why aren't they the one that's involved in this story? And it's always, oh, they're this exceptional person that does such and such, or, oh, and the military is like so exceptional that they are the ones that have to go out and like destroy the monster. Whereas with the Japanese ones, it's always small stories. It's about regular, normal, everyday people. And I think that's where it's easier to connect with like the human elements of those Godzilla films, as opposed to the American ones where it's all about, oh, here's our exceptional, special, chosen one that we're going to follow.
This one's so not
a huge part of the reason that none of the American films in this genre have ever really done it for me. There's just this like weird sense of like American exceptionalism and special boys.
Yeah, it's like, oh, here's this scientist that's done all this amazing research, and they're the only person in their field that has ever like uncovered this amazing mystery about monsters. Yeah. And it's like, oh, cool.
Over here is the only person who can pilot the giant spaceship, or the giant robot that will fight properly. But he needs to drift with another person.
Although I have to say, like, Independence Day does get a pass for that.
Oh yeah.
There's a great measure of collectivism in the Japanese ones as well, in terms of whenever usually, yeah, some scientist always comes up with a plan in how to defeat Godzilla this time. And it's not usually about stopping Godzilla. It's not about defeating Godzilla. It's just about stopping or slowing it down or making it unable to move. But I mean, you're right in saying that, like, the American ones focus on, like, oh, if it's one person that's left there, we'll finally get to do the thing and press the button, or, like, you know, there's it's all about the individual. The Japanese ones have a very big collectivist kind of, if we all work together and we work on this plan, and it's, you know, we don't have much, but if we put in together, then we'll be able to, you know, stop it. And I really like that one came through as well, you know, towards the end when they were all banding together to try and make this, quite frankly, very ludicrous plan happen.
Scientifically tenuous.
Scientifically. And the other thing that I also liked, again, at least it's following on the tradition of not knowing where the ocean floor is. Like, it doesn't matter where we are, the ocean floor is either 2 feet or 7,000 kilometers below you.
But Dion, they made a point of finding the deep bit.
They did, but at the same time, Godzilla could still stand up and get enough leverage to stand up and pounce on something.
Yeah, the sea-floor seems to be very subjective.
Let's have a chat about the physics of this in spoilers.
Yeah, that's fair. I really liked the characters. So the main character, Shikishima, eventually, you know, finds a housemate and a child who are all essentially refugees, and then finds a group of people who he works with. And I actually really came to like those characters. They're built up enough and interesting enough throughout the rest of the narrative that you kind of get invested in them. So by the point where, you know, at the end where there's everybody going off to try and fight Godzilla in various different ways, I was actually kind of like, oh shit, I don't want that guy to die. I want, you know, I really want, you know, some kind of closure for the characters. And there's a lot of telegraphing as to what is going to happen or what should happen or whatever. And yeah, I found myself surprisingly invested. I mean, and we will come back to it in spoilers. There are a few elements to it that I thought were a bit like, some cheese. But at the same time, I found it a really surprisingly smart film. Like, you know, the skills that Shikishima has are all totally explained by the plot. And, you know, he's not Special Boy just because he's Special Boy. Like, he's actually a skilled pilot and, you know, actually knows how to fire a big fucking machine gun and stuff like that because that was his job. All that kind of stuff I enjoyed.
Yeah.
So, should we do a rating?
Yes.
And then do some spoilery business?
Sure.
100%. Yeah.
Excellent. 100%, Jill, straight out.
No, not 100%. It's pretty high up there. I did really enjoy it. I mean, for a modern day Godzilla film, it still harks back to the classics. And I think like the Japanese know how to make a Godzilla movie and they just stick to the formula, you know, but it doesn't feel tired in any way. It was still an original story and an exciting story. And there was still plenty of destruction. I was very happy. Got to see my grumpy little puppy swimming through the ocean, fucking people up. I'm like,
he does some good swimming. Good swimming.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, so cute.
He looked good though.
Yeah, look at his
he
face.
looked great.
Super cute.
Actually, and so sorry, I saw something that I thought was really fucking cool and a design element that I hadn't noticed. But he regenerates when he takes damage. But one of the things is when he uses his hyper beam, it does him damage as well. Like, you know, he cops a blast and is like, oh shit, now I'm gonna have to regenerate. And I was like, fuck, I didn't even notice that. That's cool.
Yeah,
sorry.
Very cool. If they make a little figure of this one, I definitely want to get it. I really liked this design, everything about it.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go with I think I'm gonna go 90.
No
I really
problem.
liked the movie. Like the human side of the story was great. It was a very interesting post-war story. It was nice to see a perspective that you really don't get a lot of the time, and it's like Japan picking themselves up after being completely embarrassed by the whole world.
Yeah.
But also like the shame that goes with their defeat in the war and what that means for them as a society and how they move on from that. So I thought that was really fascinating, and plenty of explosions.
Much sploge.
How much splurge? I'm gonna give it. I was gonna give it 80, but I'm gonna give it 85. Because I was like, oh, that's an unfair. Like that was an unfair removal of points off that one. But look,
What were you removing points for?
It's pretty long, and I think some of the human story could perhaps be removed because we didn't need as much of that. The ending was supremely telegraphed, but what am I asking for here? It's a Godzilla movie, and I kind of just wanted to see a little bit more of the Godzilla stuff. I mean, it was treading a very fine line, which is it was directly referential to the original Godzilla movies and this massive history that's coming before it, and yet still had fresh parts to it to keep you engaged, and that's okay too. But sometimes you just want to see, destruction and more of that kind of stuff. And whenever the Godzilla was on screen, it's just exciting, and you want to see what it does. And yeah, it's kind of like I want to see more of that. And it had a cool soundtrack, and I liked it. That's why it came back up. I was like, oh, any flaws that I had with it would be like, oh, it's a bit nitpicky. I'm gonna go 85. It's good.
85.
Yes.
Pethra.
I'm going to say 80. For basically the same reasons that Dion just said, and my butt wise. Just basically, I don't care. Things could be as ridiculous as they want to be, as long as they're consistent. And it is like I really enjoyed the human story in it, and I really enjoyed the cool monster design, and those kind of action sequences, and you really do get into like wanting the people to survive and getting into all of that action. So I've actually already recommended people see it. As I've been talking to people, I'm like, go watch this film. Cool. It's fun. Good film.
Yeah. It's been getting extraordinarily high ratings. Like it's one of the highest rated Godzilla films in a very, very, very long time, and it's been doing big numbers in the States, which is unusual as well. Like it's been very successful, which is nice to see, because I do think it's really smart, fun, interesting film. And as you said, Jill, that exploration of a time period that we don't really know much about, like post-war Japan is, and seeing a Japan that has in some cases been bombed, essentially back to fucking not quite the Stone Age, but really, decimated, with millions of people killed, and them reacting to it. And I think that's, for me, really interesting, because that's about what Godzilla is. Godzilla is all about a society's reaction to being destroyed. And, if you do your sort of high school film clubs and stuff like that, you'll see all of this stuff about how Japanese cinema, since that time, has been a reaction to the atom bomb and everything. Like Akira, all of these things is all about that reaction. So it makes so much sense for Godzilla to be very overtly talking about it. And I really dug that. It does have some problems though. And there are a couple of bits that I was, well, that's cheese. And it did go a little bit long, and I'm like, oh, right. Okay. They're back. Oh, okay. So it's 88 from me. I really, fuck it, 89. I dug it a great deal, and I would very happily watch that Godzilla blow the fuck out of a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to have a bit of a look at a clip, and then we'll be back to talk spoilers in diddly-doo.
Yes.
Boom! big fucking boom.
I mean, I don't know if I was just out there casually floating around shooting up mines as you would do. You know, it is part of your post-war reconstruction to go out there and clean up all the shit that you laid out to stop people from coming along, and then start getting chased down by a giant crocodile cat lizard. It's kind of a bit scary. And that scene was actually quite tense because I think you're right earlier, Q. You're just like, you start to get invested by these people, and you actually care about them on the boat because they're not, evil, and they're just trying to get on with reconstruction, and there's a whole bunch of things to do. And then suddenly they've got to deal with a fucking Godzilla, and they do so much better than all the battleships.
Yes,
It's kind of funny.
And I like that the battleships and everything that we see have, a lot of weight and a lot of heft to them. Like it feels like that thing of we're throwing the biggest things that we can, which are shipborne cannons and stuff like that, at this thing, and they ain't doing shit. And I enjoyed that a great deal. So yes, we are in spoiler section now. So we can talk about things that may happen in the later part of the film. If you are going to watch the film and you don't want to know things, you probably should bugger off sometime about now.
I was a bit concerned. I was a bit concerned when Godzilla's girlfriend turned up.
The home wrecker.
Baby Godzilla. No, like that's
as in like she just wrecks homes. She exclusively wrecks homes.
That's the only thing she does. I wasn't expecting Godzuki, that's for sure.
I was a bit like you're saying earlier that Q, like, oh, I'm invested in these people now, and like you don't want them to die. And then I was kind of sitting here quietly going, but hang on, Godzilla went into the town and straight up started flattening stuff that had just been flat. Like, I mean, I feel sorry because all of this film is just about intergenerational trauma on this, like on the people of Japan, because it's just like, wow, they just survived a nuclear blast and now there is a giant monster that is indiscriminately fucking shit up, and everyone's just like, cool. How do we deal with that? I also like how they pretty much just the America. They were like, so what about America? I was like, well, they're not going to help us anyway. We're on our own.
But I will say,
so do you really want to turn around and ask the people that just fucked you over?
Yeah.
Well, technically, it was like a year later, so it is part of the surrender. Like it's all happened and everything, but then America's just kind of like, "Hey, you've got this." It's like,
yeah,
that's kind of your problem now. Okay, bye.
Yeah, that feels like a you problem more than an us problem. But yeah, I thought so. The character of Noriko is an interesting one because she's not necessarily presented as sort of the traditional, housewife or anything like that. She's not even necessarily a romantic sort of interest to begin with. But then that growth of the character and the closeness of those characters, I was kind of like, there's a point, and, we were deep in spoilers here, where she gets fucking blown away. And I was like, oh, fuck. And what if they'd have left her fucking dead, I would have been a little more invested in it as a story point. Like, I'm happy that she survives. I don't want to fridge people. But
wouldn't have been
the happy ending felt wrong. Sorry?
She had too much to do by that stage to have been able to call it a fridging anyway. But that was also one of those kind of like, weird but why moments.
Yeah, I'm like, this is highly unlikely that anybody would have survived that, and let alone finding her in a hospital bed a few months later with no scratches,
Yeah, no.
just a head bandage, and I'm like, okay, she's looking pretty good.
Yeah.
She led into the
Not like
crash
this-
mats or what?
It's probably kind of like those people who like end up going through a massive car accident and they just pop out and stand up going, what the fuck just happened? And the car's absolutely totaled. That's her.
Oh, yeah.
She tried to do that save, and then, you know, I don't know, the wave. But yeah, it was nice to see she didn't die. And I also love it as their relationship as that metaphor for post-war reconstruction, no matter where you're from, of like, right, you have to put everything that you knew in the past away and just start rebuilding stuff from, you know, the ground up, which is like, well, we're not together, but we live in the same place now, and we're just going to start this living again. Everyone's going to start living again. Why not? We haven't got anything. It was a sweet story to be thrown into the middle of this other story, which is about a giant monster, and totally unexpected.
Yeah.
But okay, so
Yes.
Yes.
You're going to the
But why?
science.
it's just okay. So death ray explosions,
Hyper beam, yes.
Hyper beam.
cool. No doubt, it's very, very cool. We see it several times through the film. The first time we see it, it is, you know, witnessed and not very far from our main characters on their tiny wooden fishing boat. And when it happened, I went, "Oof, that shockwave's probably going to capsize that boat." But,
Yeah, fuck.
and yet, no shockwave to speak of. And then we see it happen again in the city, and suddenly, like a nuclear-sized shockwave. But not only that, like, sorry, what's the main character's name? I've forgotten.
Shikishima.
Shikishima.
Literally saw Godzilla do that thing already.
Yes.
And when Godzilla starts to do the thing, instead of being like, shit, let's take cover, just stands there and looks at it. Like, and leaves her to like save him at the last second. He knew what was going to happen. He'd seen it.
But this guy has a fucked up fight or flight, and he freezes.
He freezes. But that's one thing that got me. Like the first time I was like, well, there's going to be a big shockwave. No shockwave. Like second
That's
time,
because the first one was
enough
on the water.
shockwave to level a city.
Yeah, it's because it was on the water and one was on the land.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
totally.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean-
Air is cool.
Different physics. Nah.
Yeah. I love your extraordinary logic there, Jill, and I'm down for it. And
It's
admittedly,
two different
there were-
locations.
Yeah, totally. And there were points at the end as well where, like, you know, he does a big hyper beam and there's one of the ships goes down and stuff. And I'm like, well, the other ships are fine. Oh, okay, they're fine. Okay.
Because it works differently on the water.
It clearly does. Like maybe it's not as powerful on the water because it's still getting water cooled. Like
You
his
just changed the ticker.
Oh, dear.
I do
So
try.
that was like my first bit where I was kind of like, nah, but that doesn't track. Like that's just something that you've now just kind of made happen for the story, and that's hard for me to like, you know. Stay
They
with
have
it.
this Godzilla look when it was like, you know, powering up in order to deliver that hyper beam, and all of the scales kind of lock in place.
The
Like
doom, 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 and like the boom, boom, boom,
everyone's
boom,
on a
boom, boom,
Stargate,
boom,
and
like
then it
powering
goes-
up. Yeah, fucking Stargate.
yeah.
Oh,
Dial in those
yes.
chevrons, lock them in.
well, it's a bit of Stargate, but also I had a little bit of Star Blazers for me as well, like the 80s anime, where you know it takes ages to power up, but then the actual beam is super fucking powerful.
Yeah.
But once again, hey, we're back in Japanese territory of talking about gigantic fucking explosions. Yeah,
Yes.
For me, it was let's try and get Godzilla out to this trench under the water that's like just over there. And we really have to get him over there in particular to like surround him with bubbles to sink him to the cold depths of the ocean where he's been living.
Yeah. that was my logic problem too.
But the pressure, Jill.
Yeah, I mean, if we do it fast enough, the pressure's going to fuck him up. And if that doesn't work, then we bring him up again very quickly, and that will do it.
Which,
Well,
and I could see, I could see
yeah,
the logic in that
part
because,
makes
like, you know, decompressing that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That I guess they don't know how deep he's been. I guess. Yeah. Yep. But I do love that, like super spoilery, what actually took him out in the end was just a bomb to the head, which they could have done at any point.
I mean, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. He likes his chew toys, but you can't bite that one.
Yeah. And I mean, bomb to the head, but also bomb to the inside of the head. And
it was more like the gullet.
Yeah. And I
Because
also
he did take a couple of bombs to the face in the beginning.
Yeah,
but then
we
he
saw
like
one in the clip.
regenerated, and that was really cool.
That was a cool scene.
Yeah.
Oh, it was also an interesting bit of trivia is that plane, the goofy looking plane that they got, that was an actual plane. Like that was an actual prototype thing from history, like that they had started developing that kind of plane, and there's only one of it in existence.
Really?
Yeah, and the prop that
there were two,
made,
and one of them is then Godzilla's mouth.
The prop that they made for the movie is like was donated to the Aerospace Museum to go next to the one that was kind of the older one. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting bit of trivia because I looked at that plane and I was like, oh, that's so dumb. And then I looked at it, I was like, oh, that was actually what they were planning on doing. That was a factual part of Japanese history where they had planned on making those kind of little fighters. I don't know anything about the ejector seat and the whole thing about stop being a sacrificial lamb and you can live instead of die and it's more noble to live and raise a baby. But, you know, hey, that wasn't on the Wikipedia article.
I did think that was a really interesting theme, though, to be exploring through Shikishima and everything, the idea of what is your duty? Is your duty to your country? Is your duty to the child? Is the duty to trying to save more people? And is it shameful to survive, to live? And by the end of it, I was like, fuck, that was actually a fairly, interesting way of exploring that question. And it's a cultural question that I don't think would happen in many other cultures. Yeah. Like there aren't many other cultures that embrace the idea of kamikaze,
Yeah, Japan is definitely has a long and storied history with suicide as a noble act of atonement. And I think the way that they incorporated that in the war was it was highly traumatic. There's another film, if anybody's interested in watching, called Letters from Iwo Jima. And that was about it was sort of like a last line of defense in the Pacific Ocean as the American fleets were coming towards the coast of Japan. And it was like just a suicide outpost, basically. So people were like, as soldiers came onto the island, it was just like, oh no, this is what's happening, guys. You have to take them out by any means necessary. And if that's with a grenade, then you do it. So yeah, that was also a really interesting film to watch about that kind of cultural part of Japan. And it's a strange one.
Book ended with the Eastwood film, Flags of Our Fathers.
Yeah,
so Letters from Iwo Jima, Japanese one, and then the American side.
Yeah, and intentionally bookended, like they were made together with the intent of them being watched together, which is very interesting. But yeah, like as you say, Jill, the idea of seppuku and all that sort of stuff that is seen as a way of cleansing yourself, you're like, fuck, that is such a deep, questionable part of that social thing. And I wasn't expecting to have that really served up to me in a Godzilla film, and not with the idea of the how important it is to be a parent and to look after the next generation as well, because in that post-war era, it's about rebuilding, it's about trying to turn into a new Japan, and therefore the next generation is actually probably more important than the previous and all of the honor and everything that went before it. So wasn't expecting to get that deep is what I'm saying. I was expecting to stay about waist deep, so that I could smash some ships. The thing I did hear that I rather enjoyed, the sound. So Godzilla's scream is very much iconic and everybody knows it.
Yeah.
So how do you make it bigger and louder? You just get the original scream and then you play it through speakers in a huge big room really loud, and then you record that.
Cool.
That's how they made his scream even bigger. Sorry, Dave?
Yeah. Well, just add some reverb, bounce it around a few walls.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Just make it louder.
Problem solved.
So, do we imagine that this version of Godzilla is going to be running alongside his buddy Kong? And
I don't know what to think about, his pink glow up, but
I must admit, because I'm colorblind. The language of color doesn't always immediately ping for me. So when you said he's got a Barbie glow up, I'm like, what did I miss something? And then realized that, yes, whilst I saw them as being like, yeah, he's glowing red and he's angry and that's different. No, they're pink.
I look at that like, I'm trying not to be dismissive, but I did see the pink Godzilla and I was like, oh, a Barbie Godzilla.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Weird. Yeah, but then I saw the gauntlet on the Kong, and then there's like chimpanzee Kong size things.
Yeah.
And it's like Earth things. Anyway,
and they also
I really
were
Godzilla
somehow buried under Egypt, and I'm like,
Yeah.
is this a Transformers movie?
He did have a bit of that feel, didn't
Right?
he?
Yeah.
I was getting a little bit of the Transformer-y feel.
Yes.
What I'm hoping for is that somehow, and I don't know how it's going to work, they're going to manage to tie in some Pacific Rim in there, because I would dearly love a couple of big fucking mechs just around punching on with all of the big monsters.
It's simple. Just one of the holes in the hollow Earth goes into the bottom of the Pacific Rim universe, and they just pop up one day, and they've got to fight big. Like they end up in Sydney Harbour. Fighting something around the Opera House.
Yes.
Very normal.
Which could be 100 meters deep or 5 kilometers deep. We don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still not sure.
No one has ever tested it.
Wow. Oh, so much Godzilla.
Yeah, can we do another one next week?
Have we run out of Godzilla?
For now.
Peter, pick your favorite Godzilla movie and we'll watch it for you next week.
I mean, it's got to be the Broderick one because it's the only.
Oh, yes. I'll watch it.
Back to Broderick.
Back to Broderick.
How are we doing next week? We haven't even announced the schedule. We haven't done it. We've been very remiss. We've had a few things on. It's been busy.
Yes.
Busy.
Yes, we have been very, very busy. But and we are also, as always, open to suggestions. Now, it is a short month for us. Our usual Tuesdays would mean that the next one would be on Christmas. So, funnily enough, the last one of the month would fall on Christmas Day. So we're not going to do
Boxing Day. No, it's Boxing Day.
Is it?
Christmas Day. Yeah.
Oh. Right.
Tuesday is the 26th.
Oh.
Boxing
So
Day.
it is.
And everyone and Boxing Day is for watching movies, not reviewing movies.
Boxing Day is for getting drunk and having naps at 2 p.m. and eating leftovers.
Yes. And in days of yore, it was always when they'd release the next big film in a series. So for me, Boxing Day.
Oh, so we're going to go see Aquaman then. We're going to review Aquaman. that's the last show of the month, guys. We're going to watch Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom, and we're going to come straight in and review it for you.
Yep. You dug yourself a grave there, Quinny.
I walked square into that.
Yeah, we're going to jump in there and pull all the soil onto us with that too. Yeah, that's right. No.
Dear. I had forgotten that Aquaman was even happening.
Yeah.
And yes, Adski, of course, if you want to, you can just send me a question mark through Twitter, and I will know that you're asking, what's the film for this week, Quinny? And I will try and tell you ahead of time. But in the case of next week, I don't fucking know.
Yes.
None of us know.
Actually, with something Christmassy.
Yeah, we've been throwing some ideas around.
Yeah,
Yep.
it is the festive season.
If we're going to pick a Christmas movie, technically Prometheus is a Christmas movie.
I mean, let's talk about what technicalities we're going to accept
Yeah.
when we talk about our Christmas movies.
Is the movie just set at
No. More boundaries. Okay, here's my boundary for you. You can pick any movie you want, but the poster for that movie has to have a couple in a red and a green sweater.
Oh,
You've only got like 96 movies to choose from.
we should find our very best and worst Hallmark Christmas movies, because there are quite literally thousands of them.
Yes, but do we really want to watch them to do this activity?
No, I don't want to watch them. Sounds like a terrible thing to do, but it's funny. There are a lot of things that are coming out this month, but unfortunately, a lot of them are coming out right at the end of the month. I'd very much like to look at Rebel Moon, the Zack Snyder film that Dion hates with a passion.
Don't even have to see it. I already know it's bad.
Yeah. And there is a bunch of other stuff coming out, so we'll be letting you know whatever we can find.
Yeah, I'm hoping it. Like, I hope it surprises me, but I am not excited by any of that at all. There's Wonka. Wonka's coming out.
I am weirdly fascinated to see it, but at the same time not.
Yeah.
It's just a bit of a but why just in general.
Yeah.
Like, but why?
Yeah, like
we need that
Timmy, why are you going in this direction when you were quite clearly going in one direction?
Disney's pushing out another one. Wish is out soon.
Oh, that's end of the month as well.
Yep. Yeah, but there was a bit of a strike and things.
Yeah.
Fine thing.
You know what? I'd love to talk about the Doctor Who 60th anniversary specials, but
you know what? You can if you want.
Yeah,
you're allowed.
Oh, good.
It was all allowed. It's like you're allowed to.
Thanks, Dion.
All right, we will make a decision though, and we'll put something up so let people know what we are doing, so we can do the homework, or people can do homework, or we could watch.
Yeah, we'll watch something.
Apart from now, look, go put on a dinosaur jumper and make some cardboard cityscapes and be your own personal Godzilla.
Be the Godzilla you want to see in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't sound like not fun, to be honest.
Right?
No. Actually, that was one of the... Sorry, I know we're leaving and we're wrapping up, but that's something that one of my friends did for his daughter. He built an entire city out of cardboard boxes and then made her a Godzilla onesie. And so she could just tromp through the city and destroy everything. And I still think that sounds like the single best fucking birthday present ever.
Sure.
Love it.
I hope you dressed up in like a Mothra outfit and fought her at the end, though.
He's quite skilled at jiu-jitsu, so that may have been, a little unfair and not cool.
She'll regenerate. It's fine.
Just buff
right,
right
just
out.
make another one.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. See you next week.
Bye.
cubicle downtown. I wanna look out my window, see 'em flying, and swing across the horizon as I cheer 'em on so proud. The power girl keeps staring at her face, and call Colossus and have him teach me ways, and then we'd exercise. I'd be one of the guys. Martial arts from Iron Fist and Wall, I'll dap her up and teach her all my songs. Oh,